So we got Paul Askew on. We all know Paul in Liverpool, kind of face of hospitality really in the city. It feels like Groundhog Day, Paul, because we're back where we were this time last year. Just as our restaurants, our bars, our venues, our attractions were kind of getting busy again, this has happened. Just tell us what the mood is like right now in the hospitality industry in the city.
Yeah, I think, firstly, it's nice to be talking to you again, although not for the right reasons, obviously. But I think, as we've all seen on the news and the announcements that have happened recently, we've gradually felt this cloud gathering above us, and the hospitality businesses within the city are sort of kept in touch with each other. The tom-tom drums are beating once more with stories of cancellation and a bit of depression kicking in, because it feels like I've just climbed the mountain in the last 6 months to get back out of the financial difficulties and try and get back to some normality. And I have to say, demand is very, very high, and we've been able to do that largely, but now it feels like we're about to slide back down the mountain. It's a bit snakes and ladders, isn't it? So I think the mood in the camp is very much one of sort of disillusionment, because when these announcements come out, they seem to be not thought through enough to realize that when you make a comment, whether it's Mr. Whitty or Mrs. Harries or Boris, that by saying these things, they're actually doing it by default anyway. And of course, our press tend to whip up as much fear and sort of frenzy, if you like, as they can, and it just scares people. And I totally understand, if you've got underlying health issues, if you're not feeling comfortable, you're not going to go out. I get that. But all I would say is, we've really got to try and cling to some normality. At what point do we get on with this and live our lives? Because we're led to believe that if we're vaccinated and boosted, that this is a relatively mild version of it, I hope. I suppose the one question mark is that we don't really actually know yet until it pans out. So, as you say, yet again, we're in this perilous situation where people can't plan, people are looking to cancel, people, they won't invest, they won't do events because they just don't know, and therefore it creates inertia.
Do you think at the minute, Paul, because there's a lot of talk, obviously people don't want to get a positive result ahead of Christmas and they don't want to miss Christmas with their family, is that why people are cancelling, kind of socialising right now? Do we think maybe after Christmas Day, after Boxing Day, it will pick up again?
That is a possibility, I suppose, but I certainly think people are thinking twice at the moment. If you've got elderly relatives that you haven't seen for some time, and you've planned your Christmas around that, whether it be Christmas Day or Boxing Day or whatever, and you get a positive result now, and you stick to your isolation, then clearly, responsible people will think like that, and I'm sure that's part of it. I have to say, I've seen the other side of it, where people are absolutely determined to have their Christmas and keep going. So I think we're sort of a split nation again, aren't we? We've got this dilemma again, where do I go, do I not go? And it's a real difficult thing, because it's not mandated and it's put back into the decision-making process of each individual. I think it does leave you open to lots of cancellations. Equally, the libertarians would say that that's the right way to go. But in terms of business, and I have to speak in terms of the hospitality businesses, when it's not mandated, we have no protection financially. Therefore, if you don't turn up for your booking, or you cancel or whatever, you're basically, putting a bit of a dagger in the business's back, and it's not a nice thing to say that, but it's absolutely true.
It's true. We've seen on social media, Paul, for about a week now, so many restaurants in Liverpool that have announced they've had so many cancellations, some big bookings as well because of Christmas parties cancelling, etc. Is this kind of widespread now, though? Are we seeing cancellations right across the board?
I'm afraid so, yeah. I mean, we as you know, we have a network with the Liverpool Hospitality Association, and of course the wider affiliation with UK hospitality up and down the country. And you're seeing everything from, hotels who have people traveling from all over the country to stay over the weekend to have a Christmas party, a big corporate event. You see those cancelling. And that for a hotel, as you can imagine, if you lose the accommodation and the banqueting and the bar take and the breakfast, what does that do to the staffing? You know, I mean, it's a massive problem. And I mean, I can speak from the art school's point of view. You know, it's mainly the private dining areas that have been affected for us in terms of, you know, groups above anything between 8 and 30. They're the ones that seem to be deciding not to do it. And of course, anything attached with the NHS or government or corporates who feel that it's inappropriate to be seen to be, you know, carrying on regardless, if whatever their businesses are, they feel like they can't do it. So I think some people have decided just to leave deposit on account and do something in the new year when they know what's happening. And some people are asking for refunds, which is understandable. But again, what I would say is that where does that leave the independence of the city, which we fought so hard to keep them all in place through the last 2 years. So I think it's inevitable that we're going to have to go back to Mr. Sunak or local government and say, you know, how can we be protected against this? There's lots of rumours of a you know, sort of firebreaker lockdown in January. I think, you know, if cases continue to rise and the NHS is under pressure, I think that's inevitable now. So we need to start hearing from them and hearing what the plans are if this is going to escalate. I think.
Okay, let's talk about some of the nice things, Paul. I've been out and about it a few times this week. I tasted the Christmas menu at Murray. I was treated to the Sprouts at the Quarter, which were amazing. Maggie Food I was at the other night, which was delicious and such a great atmosphere. I'm booked in for Barnacle on New Year's Eve. But just, you know, and it sounds like I'm shouting like I'm out every night here. I don't mean that. What I'm trying to say is the atmosphere, the service at the moment in Liverpool is some of the best it's ever been. And it's such a shame that people are missing out on that, isn't it? Because we've got such a big offering of so many incredible, different, varied restaurants.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Jay. I think, you know, the city's in a good place in terms of its food and drink development and its food and drink culture. You know, it's well known as a city that looks after people and does it with a smile on its face. But now it's also known as a city that does it technically very well, and the food is consistently great. And as you say, the atmosphere in Liverpool when it's bouncing is second to none. So it's such a you're such conflicted mind, aren't you? You know, you're desperate to go out and enjoy these amazing places and all different styles of food and service that we've got, and yet, you know, at the same time we're sort of worried about who, you know, our elderly relatives and trying to protect them, and it's just this constant conflict. And it's such a difficult time when we've all, as I say, we've climbed up that mountain, and it just feels like it's groundhog, and we're going back into it. But we must stay positive. We must, you know, keep doing what we're good at. I think all the places that you've mentioned and the rest of the city, I don't think we've ever been a more, you know, compliant, more clean, more, you know, we're all doing antiviral cleans every day. We've got the social distancing back in place. You know, really, you know, in terms of the art school, I can say that we never really changed. We just took the masks off. Everything else has continued because we had a feeling that something might come back. And I think many of my colleagues are exactly the same. So, you know, I would urge people to keep going, keep trying to enjoy that atmosphere and the great food and great service of the city as much as you can. I realise that for some people it's going to be a bit of a dilemma at the moment, but at least let them know if you're not able to attend. There are still people phoning up for last minute bookings as well. So who knows, we might be able to ride the storm, but I would definitely urge people to keep going as long as they feel comfortable and keep supporting your local indies. And
there's a great way that you can do that if you are feeling a little bit uncomfortable, or maybe you've had your mates cancel on you or whatever, is get vouchers as Christmas gifts. They make a great gift, but also they support and kind of guarantee that you're going to go and visit that restaurant or hotel or attraction in the coming weeks and months. So check that out. But loads and loads of cancellations, as Paul's mentioned. A few weeks ago, you couldn't get in anywhere. So it's kind of flipped a little bit. So if you are looking to go out, there's space. So get on the phone and book these incredible restaurants as well. What's your message, Paul, to anyone working in hospitality just before you go?
Well, I think, you know me, I'm the eternal optimist. You've got to keep your standards up, keep your smile, keep working hard and looking after people, and just be mindful that, you know, some people are still feeling nervous And even if they have come to the restaurant or the bar or the hotel, you know, be mindful of that. But all I would say is keep smiling. Better times are coming. You know, by the sounds of it, this will fizzle out at some point during the new year, and we'll be back to normal and flying again. And I'd just say keep on keeping on, and hope you can have as good a Christmas as you possibly can, and hopefully speak in the new year.
Okay, Paul Askew from the art school, and his new venture as well. His son Harry is doing a fine job looking after Barnacle just above Duke Street Market, so check that out too. Paul, thank you, mate, and we'll chat soon. Hopefully a little bit more positive next time I speak to you.
Absolutely. Cheers, Jay.
Paul.